Today I'm talking to Datapath's Adam Marsden, who's the UK and Baltics regional sales manager, discussing the evolution of control rooms. Hi Adam, how are you doing?
Oh, good, thanks, Rob. How are you?
Not bad at all, not bad at all.
Good.
Control rooms, lots of evolution at the moment. They're evolving rapidly. We've been writing a lot about it in the magazine. What are the biggest changes you're seeing in customer requirements compared with, say, 5 years ago?
Well, I think probably one of the biggest changes is the end users, the control room end users themselves are taking more and more interest and activity in trying to understand what it is that they're going to be getting. I think, go back even only a few years and it was all down onto system integrators to sort of do that and present back to an end user what's possible. But I think what we're seeing now is more end users, because they want to make sure that what they're getting fulfills a few requirements for them now, and they want to understand that. So, they're more interested in simplicity, I suppose, and that's from the operator level. They don't want operators to be, how do I do this? I need to do that. Hang on, I can't remember that bit. It's now very much making it as seamless as possible so that things, sources, content can be where they need to be, when they need to be, simply, quickly, which I suppose is then shifting more towards creating ecosystems rather than individual products being cherry-picked and put here and there that don't really talk to each other. It's creating a solution that seamlessly works together to, again, really create that simplicity, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And you yourself have had numerous years of experience at Datapath, including training manager before your current position, working with customers and partners on control room projects. How has that experience shaped your perspective on what operators and organizations really need from control room technology?
I think I'm coming up to 13 years at Datapath now. And a big chunk of that, when I first started here, I was the global training manager. And I suppose what I took from that is a big chunk of that role was traveling around the world and seeing a lot of end users and talking to a lot of end users in their environments. System integrators, I would spend time with them, train them on the technicalities, how this works, how that works. Whereas end users, it was always more of a discussion and sort of not quite, but standing over their shoulder and watching what they were doing. So I think that role gave me a big insight and helps very much in this, because I don't come at any of my projects from Datapath products do this, so therefore that's what you need. I take the approach of, well, what is it you're looking to do? How are you looking to? What are you doing at the moment? Where are your pain points? So that we can find the right solution that works for them. And I spend a big chunk of my time still now talking to end users. Whenever I get the opportunity, I get invited to a control room, I'll always say yes. Love to go and see them. And that's everything from your big grand control rooms that you would you sort of imagine you see on TV, right down to your small little security control rooms where there's a guy sat in a hut looking at a few screens and a few cameras. I'm really interested in seeing all of it, because everybody has unique challenges, and I like to understand them because it helps across any project to work on, really.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And at the moment it seems that it's a truism that many organizations are moving towards more distributed operations and also obviously hybrid working. Mm-hmm. How's that changing the way control room environments are designed and managed?
It's an interesting one, and I think a lot of that comes down to the type of control room it is that you're working and talking about. I mean, if you're talking about control rooms for national infrastructure, military and things like that, it's not really making impact. Hybrid isn't really a thing. They're very secure. They want things to be isolated. They don't want the ability to, for outside worlds to see anything in any sense whatsoever. But I think outside of that space, it's very true. There is a lot more hybrid working. There are lots of control rooms and backup control rooms, and things need to be shared between them. If if something happens in the main control room, well, it needs to be seamless and quick for the backup control room to take over from that. So, products that allow, or solutions that allow that sharing of content outside of the main control room are very much sought after at the moment. But the key to it is the security on that. Control rooms can accept, in their main control room, they have big concerns about latency and quality. It's got to be sharp, it's got to look good, and it's got to have the lowest delay possible. But when going out of that, they're happy to sacrifice an element of that. I mean, they still want as low latency, as high quality as possible. But the key thing is the securely doing it, making sure that if I'm streaming content from control room A to control room B, that can't be intercepted, that can't be hacked, and how we keep that secure. So, yeah, there is a big shift in that outside of the sort of I suppose the military national infrastructure thing, and that it's security is key to that, really.
Yeah, as you say, it doesn't matter whether it's big or small. You've still got to get the security nailed, right?
Exactly that. Yeah,
hugely important. And where are customers currently investing most heavily, Adam? Video wall technology, operator workstations, processing, KVM, software platforms, obviously, or somewhere else?
I suppose a lot of it centres around the operator. Tends to be a key focus amongst the majority of control rooms. Control rooms have had video walls for many, many years. They've had obviously operators for many years, and they've never really, until sort of recently, synced up in that you can seamlessly share between them and that. But what we're tending to see is that the video wall doesn't become unimportant, but it becomes less important, because that's sort of seen now as a high-level overview, a snapshot of what's going on for the wider room, whereas the real work, if you like, is done by the operators at their space. So I think the investment and what they're looking to do is, again, as I said, sort of really at the start, is simplicity for that operator, but making sure they can access what they need when they need it. So this concept of a personal video wall, I suppose, where an operator might have 1, 2, 3, 4 or more of their own personal screens, but being able to position and display that content, the stuff they need, where they want it, where they feel comfortable with it, so that they know where it is, they can take actions quickly if they need to, but that video wall element is still there, so that, okay, the wider room do need to see this, let me share that up, but let me keep my view and my control so I can carry on doing my job. So, yeah, I think the big thing is around the operator, which encompasses essentially workstations, KVM, but from what the operator sees day to day, really the software side of it.
Yeah, and just on all of that, how much is AI informing a lot of the technology?
Here and there, I would say. It depends on the environment it's going into again. But what we're tending to see where AI is being used more so is in the space of triggers to create an automatic action. So an example could be there's a camera spots something unusual or something it shouldn't have done, or something that shouldn't be there, should I say, and using the AI within that camera to then say, okay, something's not right there. Let me send a trigger, let me send a command to Datapath, to whatever it might be, to say, camera A has seen this, so do something. And that something could be put it up on a video wall and put a big flashing red board around it to draw attention to it. It could be the camera, is already there, so move it to the center of the video wall. So, yeah, AI spots something, doesn't seem right, send up a command to say, do something now, draw attention to this because this doesn't look right. So, yeah, we're starting to see more and more of that, but still in the bigger control, it's probably still more in its infancy, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you able to share a recent project that maybe illustrates the kinds of challenges that control room operators are facing today, how those requirements influence the technology that's being deployed?
Yeah, One probably not so far from home from Datapath HQ really, but we did an install for an end customer that is more of a security control room, but mission critical security control room, which is also shared. The control room space also shared with the MOD as well. And due to that, they had lots of, I think there was maybe 7 separate networks with different sources on them. So we had, cameras, various access controls, and valves and stuff that were all on these different networks that were not allowed, even though they're sharing this control. These networks can't touch. They've got to be isolated. They've got to be air gapped. And some of that was from the private company side, and some of that was mandated by the MOD because it's their content coming in as well. So what we're able to do in there using our Atria solution was have these sources that were locked away securely in one or more server rooms. So again, depending on the access level that was required. And by using, let's say, Atria and our LEGO transmitters receivers, we're able to essentially just take the video and the USBs out of them and not touch the network at all. So we keep this air gap between a Datapath network and all 7 of their networks so that none of that touches. But an operator wouldn't know that because the operator will have access to everything that they are allowed to because of user rights management in that. I'm allowed a set of sources. I can see that, and they can be on different networks. But as an operator, I've got that doesn't come into my mind. It's I need source 1, 2, 3, 4. I can quickly get them. I can quickly access them. So in that space, there were several operators. I think it was 3 or 4 at a time in the room. They were all able to access at their workstation the content relevant to them. They were able to share to the video walls. But then outside the room, there was, I think they called it a viewing gallery, which was another set of operators with a higher level of security clearance that were monitoring what was happening in the control room. There was a window into the control room, but also had their workstation so they could have, again, what's relevant to them, and they could force things to the video wall so that the operators could see that as well. And then various meeting spaces as well that they could send the content off to using our KVM and AV over IP LEGO transmitters receivers. So it was essentially a seamless solution or ecosystem that took all these different networks, kept them completely air gapped, but meant that the content could go where it needed to go at the right time, and the wrong people couldn't access the data they weren't allowed, I suppose.
Yeah, no, sounds amazing. And in terms of, as AVIT and operational technologies continue to converge, what new skills and or capabilities are customers looking for from technology partners, would you say?
I think a lot of it comes down to is they want a lot more advice, a lot more of a consultative approach, as I again alluded to earlier, not just here's a product for a control room, there you go, thank you very much. It's that they want that conversation. They want to be able to sit down and explain or show to somebody like myself, this is what we're currently doing. We've had some ideas which may or may not be achievable. This is what we'd like to do. And then have that discussion about how we can help achieve that, and making that a two-way thing, not just these way back in the day were probably a one-time chat. What is it you're after? There you go. Thank you very much. It's now, an ongoing process, right up until delivery and, commission of the system of what is it you're looking for? Is this right? We could do it one of 2 ways. What works better for you guys? So I think that it's probably more looking for a partner or a consultative ear that they can sort of bend and not be afraid to throw their ideas into the mix, even, they might not understand what things can do, but being comfortable and say, could it do this? Could we do that? And, listening to what the options are, what the solutions to that are. So I think it's more partnerships, more long-term as well. And I say a longer conversation up front, but that doesn't end there. They want to know that in the next 12, 24, 18 months, control rooms, 5 years, 6 years, whatever it might be, that we've still got that partnership. And, we can still have that two-way conversation of what the roadmap looks like, and are the features on there that they will want in the future, and if so, how are they implemented? So, yeah, very much a partnership, a long-term partnership, I think, is what people want nowadays.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and obviously, with all the technology going the way it's going, you've got a partner. You can't just you need that long-term relationship, right? So that's very interesting.
Definitely.
Okay, well, I think we've covered a lot of ground actually. So thank you very much, Adam. It's been fascinating today, and you have a great rest of the day.
And you, good to talk to you. Thanks, Rob.
Cheers.